Everyone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Benton City Council meeting on Monday, August the 7th. I'm calling the meeting to order. Okay. Let's see can I ask, I think I'll ask Mr. Burton to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Burton.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Talk about under the wire.
What's that?
Under the wires.
I know, right?
Under the wire.
The people that are on time and in time, I'm just apparently the latter.
Okay, so roll call, please.
Councilwoman Wadsworth.
Here.
Councilman Sandretto. Councilman Reed,
Here.
Councilwoman Funk,
Here.
Councilwoman Alcazar.
Here.
I motion to approve Dave Sandretto from this meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Wadsworth, aye.
Reed, aye.
Funk, aye.
Alcazar, aye.
All right, thank you. All right, we are going to now move into executive session. And this will last approximately 30 minutes. So we'll ask everyone who is in the council chambers if they could go in the other room, please. And JB will put the rest in the waiting room. So we return at 6:30. Is that still correct, Eric?
I'm sorry?
6:30?
Yes, 6:30.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, the city council meeting has reconvened. So the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to pull out bills and communications for a clarifying question, please.
Okay. All right.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with that change
Second.
As amended.
as amended.
Okay, all in favor?
Wadsworth, aye.
Reed, aye.
Funk, aye.
Alcazar, aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right, bills and communications.
So when you look at the bills and communications, voided claim numbers, then you've got approved claim numbers. There's a duplicate 32758 and 32758. So 32758 on PDF page 25 is Welch Consulting, which appears to be correct. And then when we come down to the payroll vouchers, it looks like we go 32759 to 3260. And I'd suggest that needs to be amended and corrected.
I know some of the checks had to be canceled. She had written them and then she had canceled them and they.
Yep. So if you go to the payroll, I think if we sort through the payroll piece on PDF page 27, the check numbers are 32759 and 32760. Not what's listed under item 2 of the consent agenda.
Okay, that was a scrivener's error, so that was my mistake.
And it's on the voucher approval page too. Yeah, no problem at all. Like that happens, especially when you've got so much going on. I just want to make sure that we have it corrected in what we're putting together. And I guess I would also add, if you go back up to page 24, we say we have voided claim check numbers of 32700 to 32729. But the first one listed on PDF page 24 is 32701 for ACE Sales and Services. Maybe that's a zero.
No, one of them did run, and when it was running, the internet went out.
Yeah.
And it did all kinds of funny things, and she ended up voiding out a bunch of them, but that 32701 did
Mhm.
run. And it is the correct number, because I questioned the same thing, but it
So
was
is there?
the only one that ran out of all of them, and so she had to void the rest of them.
How much is the dollar amount associated with 32701? And I apologize for bringing this forward now because there's no dollar amount next to it. It says server
Okay.
went down. So it ran, but it's zero.
Right, it ran, but it zeroed out, so that one actually is voided. She reran it with
Okay.
the 32730.
Cool. So I make a motion to approve bills and communications as stated with the revision to approve claim check number 32759 through 32760 in the amount of $877.04 and ETFs in the amount of $80,134.81 for a total of 81,011.85, specifically related to payroll between July 19, 2023 through August 7, 2023.
Second,
All in favor?
Wadsworth, I.
Reed, aye.
Funk eye.
Alcazar, I.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we have the approval of the agenda.
I motion to approve the August 7th, 2023 Benton City Council Special Workshop Consent Agenda as written.
I second.
All in favor?
Wadsworth, I.
Reed, aye.
Funk eye.
Alcazar, I.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, regular reports are
Visitor
none
comments, Madam Mayor.
tonight.
Visitor comments, Madam Mayor.
Are there visitor comments? Hearing none. We will move forward. And the first item then is the summer program update, and Mr. Kyle Spees is here to address that. And I believe you got a separate email with his values for what he's requesting. The one with the graph.
Good evening. So my wife and I came up with kind of our plan for the remainder of the year as far as community events go. Whether that be more inclusive paint nights, bingo nights, things like that we had discussed at the previous meeting. We came up with an approximate price or cost for these events to include the activities, food, and any type of prizes for like bingo and stuff like that. So just trying to get more ability to continue to expand these events to more events as well as people come to us. So
Great, and I had a lady, which I believe you got in touch with, came in and was looking for more senior events and wanted to have bingo one night or something, you know, so anyway, so he's got the third quarter estimate for $2,600. And the fourth quarter was 34. Is that
Some, the difference in margin on those is because the third quarter is starting as of basically the beginning of this month. So including the last event we had in July, and then just the remainder of the quarter.
Right, and the budget has, was that listed on here? Did you guys look at the budget? I think there was 12,000 or something like that left in the budget, so this would be well within that.
Madam Mayor, sorry for the interruption. I am not finding any email or correspondence on that.
When was that sent out? I don't have it either.
Okay. I will make copies, I'm sorry.
Additional-
Is that the
Oh,
additional info for the
Additional
agenda?
info. Got it.
Oh, you found it?
Yes. We have it too.
This is Councilwoman Funk. I know this is just a discussion item, but I'm really supportive of moving forward with all this. We had the fortunate opportunity to attend National Night Out and can really see the impact. It was one of the highest attended ones ever, and you can really see the impact, all the work of Kyle, his family, and many others in the community are doing, and it's important. So thank you.
So we're not asking a decision tonight on this. We're just discussing it. This will be, if you are good with this, we will bring the budget at the next meeting on the 15th.
I'm good with it.
Very much so.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Kyle. Okay, then the next item is to set the date in October for the budget 2024 budget workshop.
Madam Mayor, since we're ending our workshops, I think as of September, would it be appropriate to just continue and use October 9th? Perhaps, no, I don't think it's,
If it's good with everybody else.
October 9th, is that what you said, Sarah?
yeah, it's the second Monday, which is kind of what our cadence has been up to this date for these meetings. It's Columbus Day though, so I guess we're closed.
Is we could do the next, that Tuesday, right? I don't think. we're gonna-
That's city council
Is on the 10th.
is us. Oh, wait, no, the next day. Nope, we could do, I won't be available, but
Not available either.
Oh.
My next availability is Monday, the October 23rd. I don't need to be there though.
I'm available the 23rd.
Okay,
Let's see if the other two are going to their phone.
I am available Monday, the 23rd.
okay.
I don't have anything yet either.
May I ask that we do it at 6 PM instead of 7?
I agree.
In favor of that too.
Yeah. Okay, so let's hope Mr. Sandretta is available. Okay. Then we'll move on to the next item, which is the sign for the Lloyd R. Carnahan Memorial Park.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, how will the date be communicated? I mean, we don't want it, Mr. Sandretta, to find out by accident. Can we have someone from your office send an email to affirm that time, or now that we have this great new Outlook, can you schedule this calendar invite, please?
We can do that. Carla, would you do?
Yeah,
that?
I'll let him know.
Thank you, appreciate you.
Okay. So, Margaret, are you taking this one? The sign?
The next one on the list is actually for the planning workshop to identify the funding goals and project priorities.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I see there's a second item there on this list. Okay. So the next one is the planning workshop for goals and project priorities. The second half of 23 is pretty much already underway. But it should be some thought given to what are the goals and priorities moving into 2024.
So we're looking to come up with another date for another workshop?
We
Is that what
can,
you're
or
asking?
maybe we can do it all in the same day.
Well, what, do you think there's gonna be quite a bit on both, or do you think we can put it in both?
I think you could put it in both because I think your budget's going to depend on your priorities.
Sarah, how do you feel about that? I know you're a numbers person.
I have questions about 2023. That's hard. Maybe a better question to ask is for Carla. Carla, how do you feel about that? Yeah. So maybe a proposal, I mean, they definitely go together. I'm supportive of that. Do we need a whole planning workshop? And is that something we can tackle as part of one of our, October meetings before we get to the 23rd?
I think it would be good if we started it in October, maybe at a regular meeting. And one suggestion would be for each councilman to decide what they think their priorities are, and then we can discuss them. And then we'll know before we have the budget meeting what we want to emphasize.
I don't think that's a bad idea.
So you want to set the council meeting before the October 23rd meeting? Whatever one that is.
The 3rd or the 17th.
3rd or 17th.
17th. October 17th for this one. Okay, at 7.
Madam Mayor, one suggestion could be to start at 6 o'clock the night of a regular council meeting and have it an hour early.
Well, we could do
Planning
that.
workshop before the meeting.
That might be a good suggestion. Yeah,
I think so.
Okay. 6 p.m.
sounds good.
So which meeting would it be?
Both of them. So
17th.
yeah.
Both will start at 6, the 23rd and the 17th. All right, so the next one is Margaret. I believe you were going to be speaking on this one.
In your packets, you should see the 3 estimates for the signs. And the one that I recommend would be Mustang signs because it's quite a bit of difference in price. $1560.93 for the entire job, and that would include the sign, the vinyl sleeve, the caps on the posts, and a graffiti laminate, concrete it in and install the sign. And the other estimates were, one of them was 21 something and the other one was 44. So I highly recommend the Mustang sign, and they've done work for Benton City before.
I've seen their work. They do solid work.
The chamber of sign is from Mustang.
And I believe Mayor Lehman said that she would pay for this sign out of her spending allowance so that we can get it ordered immediately.
Are you looking for a motion, Madam Mayor? Or are you, there's no motion on this. Are you looking
Right.
for a motion?
Can't have one more in the discussion item.
It's on a discussion item.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
No, but if you're all okay with it, I can We can go
Guidance
ahead
going
and do
forward,
that.
yes, use
Yep.
Mustang signs.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next is the contract for safety culture program and safety team. We have 3 estimates here.
Discussion.
Yes,
Madam Mayor, our agreement we recently signed, I did last week. I'm not sure if you had a chance to. You had appointed me to take care of things moving forward. Are we staying on track with the 3 outside contractors or?
yeah, I think we still need this. I mean, I don't.
Okay,
I only see pricing in here for one, Madam Mayor. Like a full pricing proposal. How are we supposed to analyze these to have a discussion if there's no summary of the cost for each? In total of the
I
3 options.
I think the idea was that most of these people have an hourly rate. And then they would have to do a, they'd have to come in and see where we stand, basically, in order to come up with a bid. We can, what I was trying to get tonight was which one you preferred from that, from their experience or whatever, their credentials, their skills. And then we would move forward with a contract with that one, just for the initial part of this to figure out how much is required.
Madam Mayor, did we go through the normal request for proposal process to put this out to bid because of the dollar amount involved?
We have gone through the process of getting 3 bids, and these are what I've gotten. You know, from the contractors. One of them, I believe, I think Action has.
31,000. But there's no way to tell. And so those are blended hours at a whole bunch of rates. I don't understand. It's not clear to me. The
yeah.
comparable estimated dollar value of the other 2.
I can kind of answer this. So these folks have had no insight. They have not seen, they do not know what safety equipment we have. And to be quite frank, they probably don't know. They're probably taking an educated guess over what normal municipalities do. And that's where we get the price range. But what they do is they come in and they'll sit down and they'll go through all of our policies and everything, which is a part of the reason we're doing this. Without them knowing what our folks are certified and capable of doing versus what we outsource, so on and so forth. That is where the variation in the dollar amounts are going to come from. So basically, they have to come in and analyze the workplace before they can give us a tighter bid. And that's why we see on 2 out of the 3, all 3 of them actually kind of more spaced out price ranges.
Okay, and since this is part of it, thank you. Since this is part of an administrative function and you're asking about, our feedback, do we have scoring from staff on who you all think is the most qualified?
I think that there are 2 that are the most qualified, and one of them has been working at Hanford. Well, 2 of them working with Hanford. One of them has been, the Action consultants have been part of the Hanford team, and they're using the Hanford team personnel from very reputable companies. The NIMS was also a Hanford employee. He has started his own business, and when I ask around, he hasn't had much work to judge his company from. The third one, I did not think was really as qualified.
And I agree, between Action and NIMS. I'm not seeing it very well documented, the history of Action. Looking at it, both of them pretty much have the same qualifications. I do see where NIMS was actually works more with municipalities versus the open work sites.
Mhm.
I like NIMS. One of the selling points I felt was a good thing for our employees is that the training that they offer can give college credit. Coming from an educator, that's me, something that's very important because that's going to help us attract hopefully a higher quality
Yeah, the other
employees
one
as well.
The other one does give credits to any of the courses that are taught by them have, whatever you call them, continuing education units or whatever.
Looking at the two options that I think we all agree on. I'm seeing a slightly lower fee scale for the NIMS.
I'm also with Councilmember Reed on this. I think, NIMS seems to be a good fit maybe for us. I mean, obviously, there's more to it, but
It sounds like that's kind of where we're all at. Am I frozen? Can you guys still hear me okay?
yeah, we can hear you. I think this was just a discussion item, so there's no action, I guess, to be taken on this.
The only thing that I would like you to do is choose one and then we'll get a contract together based on that person's.
Well, I think we all kind of said that we were kind of falling in the same lines, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah, I was saying NIMS too.
Okay. Sarah, do you agree?
Yeah, I think that sounds like a reasonable path forward. And I think we just need, since we don't know what we're getting into, we need some not to exceed language. So we have a chance to review and revisit as this important work gets underway would be my suggestion.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And per our agreement, is this something you want me to go forward with? Making contact and getting this taken care of?
No, I don't think you need to. I think we can just do it normally through the attorneys and then at the meeting. And if you want to help out with that, that'd be fine. Okay, so we've got our marching directions and we'll move forward then. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mayor, will that one be brought back next time for a approval?
Yes, and are you all willing to come up with a not to exceed number that you want to see initially?
Yeah, I think we could probably come up with a good starting not to exceed number.
And I'd suggest you ask the contractor how they'd break up the work to come back and check in and provide an update. They'll know better than us what a good pause is for evaluation.
Okay. I can ask them. I think what will happen is they'll come in and do an initial survey and then come up with a recommended plan. And then I guess we can, you can do those all of these are like on a task order basis, will be for whatever training is expected, and that can be staggered out through the year. So it's not going to be like a huge upfront cost. But I can ask them.
Well, nothing's budgeted this year, Madam Mayor, for this, correct? This is unbudgeted and very important necessary work, if I recall, but I may not recall correctly.
I don't think it is budgeted.
We'll look for a feedback on if it's budgeted or not when it comes back for approval.
Okay. All righty. All right, so we'll move forward with anything. Okay, so if there's nothing else, we'll move on to the next item. And that is the city project workshop status.
Okay,
Mr. Rain?
all right. Okay, well, good evening, everyone. Gonna go through our projects list tonight. And see, to start it off is the TIB chip seal project. And I don't know if you all had a chance to read through it's a project correspondence, and the short of the summary of this is that we're gonna have to turn the money back to TIB for the chip seal project, and that is because with timing, with trying to work with Franklin County and Benton County, as promoted by TIB, they wanted us to follow that path. We went back and forth between the two counties and the timing. By the time we heard back, it was too late to try to bid out the work. We were still hopeful through July that so back in early June, Franklin County finally said, no, we don't have the time to do the work. We went back to Benton County and contacted them several times. And by the time we heard back from them, it was too late to try to go out to bid the work. We talked with TIB, their engineers, that were really pushing strongly to use an interlocal agreement with one of the two counties. They indicated it, the timing wise, that we would need to turn the money back and then apply for it again. And yeah, we were pretty disappointed how it all turned out. But we were trying to follow what they were advising us to do. Typically, when money's turned back to TIB, the next time you go in to apply, they don't give you as good of a rating, I guess, but we discussed it with them. And they said, no, they understand what happened with the counties, and this won't count against Benton City.
Good.
And going in with this application, we're going to look at it from a stance that we're going to have to put it out to bid. We talked to Franklin County and discussed it, and they said probably not to count on them again. So we already have that out of the way. Sorry, there's a fly around here. And then
I'm glad it's you now because it was
Oh,
bugging me
I
in
know.
there earlier.
it's making its rounds. And there's a possibility we could go in with Benton County. We're going to meet with them in the next week or so. So we have it up front. And well, I've actually sent an email to them and said, if we're going to go that route, I want to get an interlocal agreement started this fall. So it's in place. So when they get ready to do their work, we can just go out to bid with them in about February. If that's not in place, then we're prepared to just do the bidding ourselves. And I think trying to follow TIB and their great desire and having interlocal agreements working between agencies. Kind of really slowed us down quite a bit, obviously. So it took 5-6 months to get to the point where
Yeah.
we knew exactly what was going to happen. So
That's
that's our
unfortunate.
plan. And I feel pretty good going in. Applications are due this week, but I think we should score high again with them. So I'm pretty optimistic that we would get the money again. So any questions on that? Okay. And 9th Street sidewalks. So we have submitted the county disbursement agreement. I don't know what I put there. Sorry, but I filled out the paperwork, provided it to Carla, and she submitted it to Adam File for the county's payment or release of funds for that. And that was 191,000. And then we have a progress billing. It's been signed by the mayor, and I'm just waiting for 2 forms from the contractor. And once those are provided, we'll submit that. And I believe that was $142,000. So that will be submitted to DOT here shortly. Any questions on that one? Okay. So we'll move on to the HUD project or the railroad bridge. So the status of this project is we've done the inspections, and at this point, we're looking to see what council would like to do to move forward with accepting that grant. We've looked at several items, and one of them is the where we get the money on the short term to be reimbursed. Let's see, we're looking at possibility of interfund loans. And so there's that option. And part of the I guess question is what is the bridge acquisition going to cost? And right now we have it listed as $450,000. And then we have 1.4 million in the bridge rehabilitation and resurfacing. And so if we decide to move forward, one of the first items that needs to be done is the NEPA assessment. And so we would recommend, if we're moving forward, that we do the NEPA assessment, start it as soon as possible, because you have to have that done before you can get any kind of reimbursement money. And there was a question about the deadline for accepting the grant, and there is no real deadline. They want it, they'd like it sooner than later. And I believe if it hasn't been accepted by the end of this year, they will step in and try to see what they can do to help the city move forward with accepting it. But the only real deadline is August 31st of 2031 that the money has to be expended. So there's quite a time frame that we have. Yes. Yes, no real pressure on timelines.
Yes, but it would be nice to get this moving along because you guys have worked so extremely hard on trying to
Correct,
get
yeah.
this through. And
Yeah.
I don't want to wait another 10 years or 5 years and then all of a sudden have them say, well, we have to do an inspection again and start the process all over again.
Right,
So,
right.
um,
And I don't have it in front of me. let's see. Maybe on the next sheet. So for the NEPA on number 2 in my project timeline, we have $100,000 for the NEPA process. And so we have 2 line items that we can borrow money from in the budget. That would be the boat launch improvements and the riverfront park improvements. And what we're estimating is about a 90-day turnaround from the government, from when we submit for reimbursement to when we'll get funds back. That is just a guess, but some people have told us expect 60 to 90 days, but again, we're just estimating at this point. So
So if I get this correctly, is be using the 50,000 from the 2 from the boat launch and from the riverfront as money to put up for,
that, yes, and
and then paying back
then
those
paying
2
back
accounts.
those,
Yep.
Yep. And then for the larger costs such as the bridge purchase, we were talking about an interlocal
Yep.
or interfund agreement or loan, sorry. And with that, discussed it a little bit with Carla, and so with that, it would just put terms in, that you would pay it back by such a time and that sort of thing.
I think it's still a great idea. I think we need to continue to move forward. I think it's something that we have been doing a lot of work for a very long time, so.
And the other thing is we still have that opportunity to maybe get that easement. To me, that would be worth a little more than the 300 we offered them if we had the easement on the.
On the east side, yeah.
Yeah.
Sarah, did you have something?
I did, yeah, so agree with you, Councilwoman Wadsworth, on all the great efforts. I think when we talked about, and great job, Alan, that's part of the efforts for sure, thanks. I think when we talked last, there was going to be some discussion with Ashley Stubbs, Representative Newhouse, someone else's office someone in their office or someone else in the government around, how flexible are we with changing money around? Can you remind me, have we had all that discussion, and is that okay that what's coming in now is different than what we submitted?
As far as we read it, it's up to us to provide the narrative and the budget. And if we have changes from that point on, then we'd have to go back to Dan Newhouse's office to get them to approve that.
What you're proposing are changes in the budget, right?
From the initial,
Yep.
yes.
Have you had contact with his office?
We had some, and some of it's been via email, and it's been pretty vague. And they basically, Nathan can speak to it a little bit, but it's basically, they refer us to the guidelines a lot of times. So I'll let Nathan speak on that a little bit more.
Yes, and in regards to the flexibility with the budget, when the application was first submitted, if you'll recall, we requested 2.4 million and were awarded 2 million. So I went back to our Congressman Newhouse's office and our grant representative, and they kind of kept both referring me back to the other party to get answers. But finally, they sent me to a web link that discussed the process, and what the process is. Because we weren't awarded the full amount, we now submit our final budget, which we can revise that. Obviously, it wasn't the full amount that was awarded, so we can revise that budget, revise the line items within that to match better what we want to do. We will also have to submit a finalized narrative, which should be pretty close to what we've already submitted. We will be taking out the final phase of the East Trail creation because there's out of our city limits, there's land there that we don't own. And you can see the original budget and the revised budget that we're recommending. So we do have that flexibility. Once that grant is approved, that will go in for final approval. And once that grant is approved, then if we have changes in the budget, that's when we would go to Congressman Newhouse's office to request change modifications at that time, or approval for modifications.
Thanks, Nathan, and good job. And I guess as a point of clarification, if I recall correctly, I believe we only ever submitted for 2 million. And at one point in the process, it was listed somewhere as 2.4 from a legislative perspective that never moved forward. I don't believe, and I ask someone else to please urgently reconfirm if that's the basis for our opinion, that we requested 2.4 million.
Yeah,
'Cause I don't think we did. I think we requested 2 million. I think I can pull that up while we're still having this discussion, in fact. I
The
think there was a
application-
floating number around about 2.4 that never went anywhere in the legislature. That's not something that we requested, respectfully. And I
Uh,
think that changes part of the fact pattern.
that could be possible. The application and the information I have showed a 2.4 million request, but I'm going off of the information that I had on file. So that's what we have in the application that was submitted. So
Okay, I'm wrong all the time. It's fine if it's me. I just want to make sure that there were some other things on that application that needed revision. And I guess I have two other comments. One would be Representative Newhouse, Congressman Newhouse is going to be in town the week of August 21st and is around this summer. He might be interested in coming to check out the bridge. And I'd encourage, as part of this project and all the good work, we try to get him out because we still need some help in our negotiations. And maybe we don't have to wait till the end of the year for that to happen. And I think Ashley's pretty good at coordinating those sessions. If you need any help, I'd be happy to help accommodate that. And my other comment is, I think it's great that we can borrow from these two accounts that are, have $50,000 each. I'm a little bit disappointed we can't move forward with anything at the boat launch related to lighting specifically and security. Is that just because we need to borrow the funds, or is that because someone wanted to, or because we can't get the project done this year?
I guess it's all in timing. So with the riverfront, or step back, recreation area and boat launch park, we will be, I guess, negotiating with Fish and Wildlife on what we can do there. And part of that will hinge on what we do at the riverfront park and the sagebrush.
Is
Yeah.
the lighting gonna get it installed down at the main park this year, Alan?
I don't believe so. Just because of timing of everything. We will put together a plan for that. But especially if we're moving this money over to the NEPA, then no, it wouldn't get done.
That brings me to my second point. I'd propose if we're gonna borrow funds, we borrow them from the city hall funds, because that project has more work to do to move forward. And I think there's a real security risk and drug problems that are ongoing and a real safety concern for our community, and lighting should be a priority. Personally, I'm only one person though. So I'd ask my fellow council members to consider if we're going to be doing loan between funds, instead of jeopardizing security, if we're able to use to borrow funds from the city hall while we work on that planning.
I'd respectfully, I'd like to have the presentation on the city hall before we make any decisions. There are possibly other funds that could be used.
And then just one question for you, Alan. Were they still gonna go under the road there to do the crosswalk and stuff like that?
Yes,
So, because I see that's in your presentation coming up a little bit later on.
correct.
Because if we're already gonna open up the road, wouldn't it be beneficial to be able to have electrical run all the way through down and kind of get it in the park?
Yes, and so what we're probably going to do, I know this gets into a little bit what Nathan's going to talk about, but at that crossing there at that park entrance, we'll be looking at boring.
Mhm.
And at this point, we would just bore conduits under the road. So at any point, we can come in and do the electrical at one
Okay.
time. Yeah. Yeah, plan would be, once we go in and do the electrical work, yeah, we do it all at one time. With the pedestrian crosswalks, we're looking at using the solar.
Solar,
panel. Yeah,
mhm.
so they could be done. They don't have to be done at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah. The crosswalk and the power.
Thank you.
Yep. So any other questions on the railroad bridge? Okay, we'll move down to the ARPA projects, Dale Avenue realignment. We're looking to complete the SEPA assessment process. And once that's completed, we will go out to bids. We're hoping we can get it out to bid here in a couple weeks and then bring it back to you guys and get somebody started construction this fall. We're hoping for construction complete by August 31st. October 31st. But a lot of that's going to depend on contractor availability and how busy people are. And Jacobs Road Water and Sewer. We're going to finalize the plans and specs, and we hope to get that out to bid fairly soon also. Lift Station 5, we have a task order for that, so we can get going on the design. And what we're looking at is the possibility of coming up with the design, coming up with the requirements for the lift station, and then actually submitting to the county to pre-purchase the lift station, because it's about an 8 to 9 month lead item. And so if we can get that approved by the county in the next, by November, December, then we can have that in the equipment in place and ready for installation next August or September, when the water level's at its lowest point. And so we'd order that, and then we'd put the project out to bid for installation probably in May or June. And then get a contractor lined up to do the work. Water and sewer generators. We are working to get a few more proposals from electrical engineers, so we can get ready to do that design work. Force main extension. We're waiting for the final boundary line adjustment. It's being revised by a surveyor. And once that's done, then we'll move forward with routing the force main extension past lift station 4. And if you guys don't recall what that project is, that's to extend the force main that connects lift station 7 over across the bridge. And we're going to put that directly into the wastewater treatment plant. So if there's ever a flood, there's no worry about any interruption in service on the south side of the highway. And also we're avoid overloading lift station 4, especially when you get additional users out there and higher sewer flows. My question on any of that? I know it's like a fire hose. Sorry. Yep. And then DOT funded projects. I give it over to Nathan.
Thank you, Alan. So continue on our update, our DOT funded projects. If you'll recall, we had two projects there, our Riverfront Park Trail and the pedestrian crossings. Just 1 second. So for Riverfront Park Trail, we have met with DOT regarding this project and what forms need to be done. And one of the processes that need to be completed is the right-of-way easement with Kiona Irrigation District. So we're working with a consultant to assist with those forms and with that agreement. And once that's complete, then we will begin the design and begin putting together a plan for completion for that. Looking at 2024 for construction on that project, just because of the paving and the asphalt, something we'll want to do when it's warmer outside. The pedestrian crossings, we're also still working with DOT on approval on that. Finding a surveyor has been a challenge. They're very booked up right now, but we think we're down to, we've called everybody. I don't know how else to say it, but we're down to a few that are willing to provide proposals for this. So once we get that, then we will be presenting that to the council for approval to move forward on that final design. Approximately 100,000 of that does need to be spent this year. So we are looking at purchasing the materials, all of the beacons, posts, all of that for this year. And then installation would be next year. And this is because this is part of this is close to the recreational area in Boat Launch Park. As Alan discussed, the parks are kind of intertwined in all of these projects because a lot of this involves digging, and we're trying to coordinate any archaeological investigations at the same time. So as we get into the parks, kind of getting ahead of myself, I'm going to skip to that slide here. We'll step back here in a second, but as we get to the parks, we've met with Department of Fish and Wildlife. We've met with ecology, and we've discussed the projects that we're working on, especially at recreational area and Boat Launch Park. You know, there's some grading and leveling that we want to do there. We've got some low areas. And we want to dig trenches to run the lighting. We want to possibly dig to install irrigation systems. So we're trying to coordinate all of that at one time. And that's one reason why the light poles is something that we haven't pushed on very, very quickly right now, or prioritized, because we're looking at coordinating the digging with having archaeological preserve there all at the same time. So we did get an estimate on light poles. It's approximately 70,000. That does not include the boring under the road, but it's from the road, from the park side of the road in and installing 2 light poles. But we're still working on the other coordination there. The other issue with Fish and Wildlife is when we met at Riverfront Park, what will be Riverfront Park, there's a lot of sagebrush there, and that's a jackrabbit habitat. And Department of Fish and Wildlife strongly recommends that we do not disturb that habitat. They really want that to stay where it is. Let me back up. When we met with Fish and Wildlife, the first place we walked was disc golf course, and we walked that area with them, and they recommended adding some more natural vegetation there. Then we went over to the recreational Boat Launch Park and showed them what we wanted to do there, which is turn it more into a park atmosphere. And they were not very fond of that idea. They really wanted it to maintain a natural habitat. So then we went to the new Riverfront Park, and when they saw the sagebrush there, they mentioned possibly working with us and allowing us to do more at the recreation and Boat Launch Park if we maintain a habitat at Riverfront Park. So they're all intertwined in that we're trying to coordinate with Fish and Wildlife and put together a mitigation plan that would allow us to do more at recreational area and Boat Launch Park, still maintain a habitat at Riverfront Park, but maybe take some of the sagebrush and some of that habitat that we would want to remove. And part of our mitigation plan would be to put those plants at disc golf course in areas that really no one is using. anything we pull out has to be replaced at a 2-to-1 ratio. So if we pull out one sagebrush, we have to replace it with 2 more. But again, if we can pull them out at riverfront, not everywhere, but in certain areas, try to limit it, but then replace those, say at the 14th Street or disc golf course, then they would allow that. But it's also negotiating, will they allow us to do a little bit more at the boat launch park? So that's kind of, in a nutshell, everything we're working on together and negotiating so that we can get as much done as we can and try to achieve the goals of the city here. So, any questions? Is that clear as mud? All right, I'm going to jump back a slide then to the Archie Borden Park. So an update on the RCO maintenance grant. I don't know if you recall the last time I provided an update on that grant. They were allowing at the time an application for multiple sites up to $100,000 and no digging, no excavation. They provided an update. They delayed the grant and provided an update in that they would allow excavation if we picked, if a city picked a specific site only. So in meeting with Public Works and discussing our options, we all agreed that the tennis court repair was the priority to get completed, and we would be able then to do that. So all of the other stuff I listed, that Christmas list that we had listed before, we've kind of pushed all of that back to the side, and this is what we plan on applying for coming up next week, actually, when the grant opens. So it will be the fencing, drainage repair, the tennis court surface, and concrete, which comes right up to 100,000, which is the max amount that we can apply for. They also extended they will not award until the end of October, which means it's too late in the year for us to do anything at that point, but we have until June of 2025 to get it completed now. So before we had until the end of this year to get things completed. So they've extended that substantially, but we all agree that this is a priority. I know Megan had also mentioned that our pros standing had to be updated because it had expired, but she did confirm that that's not required for this specific application. So we don't have to get that done by next week. We do want to get it done before we apply for any future grants with RCO next year. So from our standpoint, by February of next year, we would want that pros plan updated. But I also know that Mr. Mahaffey with the I-82 project is working on part of that plan. So what we'll do is have him do his piece, and then we'll update the rest on our piece to submit that. Any questions, comments on that? Okay. The other one is Blacktop Estates, Mountain View and Legion Park. We finally obtained all of the estimates for those projects, and there is an approval item at this meeting to move forward with these purchases. So that includes the fencing, the boulders, hydro seed, and irrigation parts for Blacktop, and the fencing for Mountain View, and the fencing for Legion Park. And we've met with the city staff regarding the budgets and where these line items can come from, and it's all specified in the slide there. We're anticipating grading being completed by the end of this month. I know I told you last time it was going to be done the next week, but we had to delay the grading for some curb cutting that Public Works wanted to get done, and then the contractor's machinery broke down. So we are waiting for that to get fixed, and they've told us they would get that done as soon as it's repaired. Once that's done, then we can coordinate the volunteers for installation of the irrigation, and then after that, coordinate the hydro seeding, boulders, and fencing, all of those things upon your approval tonight. And the disc golf course, I spoke to Manny, who's been coordinating that. He's still working on gathering sponsors for the holes, for all the material for that. We do need to discuss with Benton County approval for parks use and research. Benton County doesn't have that land registered as park, as recreational land. So we have to go back to them and and get that resolved. And then we have also met with Benton County Conservation District about native plants that can be used in the area. Met on site. She's given me a long list of plants we can use, and we're evaluating that and coming up with some funding options for that as well. So that's all the parks. Any questions or comments on parks? All right. A few other things that have come up here in recent are some required repairs. We've got a wet well at the wastewater treatment plant that needs to be relined. The concrete is deteriorating there. There's a task order tonight for approval for the engineering services. And our estimated repair costs are $90,000 for this repair. We're still pending a bid on the bypass pumping. 33,000 is our estimate, but we have gotten estimates on the wet well relining and the hydro sensor, and they're pretty close to those numbers. So I think we'll be right within that amount. But this is something that does need to be completed. We want it done before it gets too cold, because we have to do bypass pumping, which will be laying along the ground, and we don't want those pipes to freeze. So it's something we'd like to get done before freezing temperatures start hitting. Nobody wants to deal with that. The other one that is urgent that we're working on is the repair of reservoir number 2. So there is another task order tonight for approval for engineering services for that. And again, these funds have been discussed with finance. We are still waiting for some guidance from Department of Health on exactly what's required on their end to drain this tank so that we can get in and repair it. But we're anticipating meeting with them in the near future to get that. We've already coordinated with AT&T on the cell phones the cell phone towers that are up there, and shutting those down while the repair happens, which is required due to the amount of radiation up there. So that's all set up. And then we did get a repair cost back in 2020 for $50,000, but we are kind of waiting again for guidance from the Department of Health before we bid this out. But hoping to get that soon, and we'll get that bid out and coordinate repairs by the end of October on this one. And the last item I'll discuss is the City Hall repairs. So we did receive a grant in the amount of $300,000, approximately $299,730 for asbestos abatement. And there's a task order will be coming up on the next council meeting for the engineering and grant administration for that. I have attended a webinar and trying to finalize exactly what the scope of work looks like for that project, but we are looking at working with the architect to come up with some plans for the demo and the asbestos abatement, so we can bid this project out, something we'd like to get fairly quickly. The $299,730 is a reimbursable grant, so we have to expend the funds in advance. However, Department of Commerce has stated in their webinar training that they do reimburse fairly quickly. They say they try to get reimbursed within a week, but 30 days is their legal answer in case there's any delays. There's also a program where we can request the funds immediately if we apply for a form, the A-19 form. They will give them to us immediately, and then we follow up with the required submittals and paperwork that they need. So that's an option we can look at that will help relieve that time frame between funds expended and funds reimbursed. We can go back to July 1st of 2020, and any costs incurred are reimbursable as well for this grant. So we'll be looking at those costs to see any previous costs that we can get reimbursed for, and hoping to finalize a scope of work on this by the end of this month so we can start bidding this out. And that's everything that we have. Any questions or comments?
I think I have, I'm sorry. I was just gonna add the idea we talked about with the HVAC.
Yes, thank you. Part of so one of the great things about the asbestos abatement grant is that the bids we have for the abatement is approximately $170,000. However, we were awarded almost $300,000. So there are some extra funds there. Depending on how the grant application is worded, which I'm still looking into that, we may be able to use some of those funds to do additional work there at City Hall. And one of the things would be replacing the HVAC system with mini splits. Again, I have to verify how the application was worded and what specifically the funds are tied to, because a lot of times these funds are very specific. But if there's flexibility there, we're going to look at how much we can get done with these funds to get all the asbestos removed, but also possibly change out some of the HVAC systems and some of the additional demo work.
And possibly the architect for designing those HVAC
Correct.
systems.
Yes, that will be part of that as well.
Yeah.
I know that there is a pending proposal for the architect for approximately $4,000 for revisions to the floor plan. However, I would recommend that we go back to the architect and first get a proposal to put together a asbestos abatement plan so that we can use that for bidding out. I have a call into the architect already, and I plan on meeting with her later this week to get a revised proposal for that. Because that's the first thing that we need so that we can then get accurate estimates and move forward with our first phase of getting all the asbestos removed. Okay. Any other questions, comments? All right. Well, that's all I have. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So now, we'll go into our items for approval. And first is our confirmation of our newest employee. And would you step up, please? This is, I'm not sure about your first name. Isael? Isae Muniz.
Eunice. Yeah.
Excuse me, Mayor Lehman, could they take the presentation down?
Oh, okay,
And then you might want to sit there so she can hear you in the microphone.
yes.
On the hot seat. Thank you for being so patient, sitting through all of that.
Yes, and thank you for coming in. So can you tell us a little bit about your background and why you wanted to work for Benton City?
I work in a lot of warehouses as a forklift driver, and kind of got tired of it because that's all I do is sit down and drive all day from 10 to 12 hours a day.
Excuse me, could you speak into the mic?
You can move it forward. And as soon as I seen that you guys were hiring for a summer job, I decided to leave forklift driving and try something new, because I've never worked for a city. This is my first time working for a city, and it's pretty good. I like it so far.
That's good. Okay. Do any of the council members have?
Discussion
Yes.
on our agenda and in our packet. This position is considered park maintenance worker seasonal. When I go back to ordinance 1054, section 1A, I do not see that title on there.
We had one. all this time.
I'm looking right at it. There
Part-time.
is,
Part-time mode.
well, we have summer parks part-time.
Yeah, that's it.
Just to clarify for the record, for no future issues with job titles and adding and subtracting from our ordinance, I'd like to have that job title that we're calling it tonight amended to what it reflects, summer parks part-time.
Okay.
Okay.
And it says seasonal. Are there specific dates, like the start date and then the end date for that?
It typically ends in October. And I think they start in May.
Okay,
From like May to October. That's what it is.
okay. I was just curious. Nothing against you. Don't worry.
Any further questions? I make a motion to confirm Isai Nunez for the position of Summer Parks part-time for the city of Benton City.
Second,
All in favor?
Wadsworth, I.
Reed, I.
Funk eye.
Alcazar, I.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you're off the hook. You're welcome to stay if you want, or you can.
I would leave.
All right, thank you. Okay, so our next item for approval then, let's see, had a lot of discussions. Okay, purchase and installation of irrigation, hydro seeding, fencing, boulders for Blacktop Estates and fencing for Mountain Meadows Park and Legion Park.
I motion to approve the purchase and installation of irrigation, hydro seeding, fencing and boulders for Blacktop Estates Park and fencing for Mountain View Meadows Park and Legions Park in the amount of $106,015.81.
Second,
All in favor?
Wadsworth, I.
Reed, I.
Alcazar, I.
Sarah,
Funk eye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, motion carries. So then the next one is task order 2023-07 lift station number 5 upgrade. I believe Mr. Rainey. Did you have more to say
Yeah,
about this?
well, this would be for the design of lift station number 5 upgrade. That's the one on Babs, West Babs, I guess you would call it. And it's a lift station that has interoperable valves. And the guys have to get down into the wet well to disengage the pump to pull it. And so this is covered by the ARPA funds.
all right. I motion to approve task order 2023-07 lift station number 5 upgrade for removal of existing pump, lift station layout, prepare bid, complete bidding process and coordinate installation utilizing ARPA funding in the amount of $88,000.
Second,
All in favor?
Wadsworth, I.
Reed, I.
Funk eye.
Alcazar, I.
Okay, motion carries. All right, then the next one is task order 2023-08 sewer repair, reline, and wet well, number 1.
Yeah, this would be a task order for the design of relining wet well number 1 at the lift station, as discussed earlier. Now, if there's any questions,
I motion to approve task order 2023-8 sewer repair reline wet well for project management and construction verification of coordination with Benton City Sewer Operator, including in this task order in the amount of $18,000.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Wadsworth, I.
Reed, I.
Funk eye.
Alcazar, I.
Motion carries. The next item is task order 2023-09 reservoir tank repair.
I motion to approve task order 2309 reservoir tank repair for project management and verification and coordination with Benton City's water operator, also included in this task order in the amount of $15,000.
Second,
All in favor?
Wadsworth, I.
Reed, I.
Okay.
Alcazar, I.
Motion carries. Next item is task order 2023-10 Dale Avenue, water and sewer improvements.
Motion to approve task order 2023-10 Dale Avenue, water and sewer improvements for development of specification, preparation of bid package, bidding process, construction coordination, and inspection assistance, utilizing ARPA funding in the amount of $72,500.
Second,
All in favor?
Wadsworth, I.
Reed, I.
Dunk eye.
Alcazar, I.
Okay, motion carries. Next item is task order 2023-11 Railroad Bridge NEPA assessment.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to propose that this be moved to a date certain, the next meeting, to review and consideration in conjunction with the city hall plan.
Okay,
Do we need to recommend the motion first and then have discussion?
I get, yes, need a first and a second, then discussion.
Okay, I motion to approve task order 2023-11 Railroad. There's also a typo. It says Bride. It should be Bridge, Railroad Bridge NEPA assessment with sub-consultant assistance, including phase 1 environmental site assessment, wetland delineation and coordination with Department of Ecology, FEMA, and Department of Wildlife in the amount of $100,000.
Second.
Discussion, Mr. Rainey, is this going to hurt your timing?
I don't believe so. It shouldn't hurt our timing, no,
Okay,
because this week we'll be working on the TIB application. Contracts with DOT for the other two, the pedestrian project, pedestrian crossing, and the riverfront trail.
okay.
So I think we have plenty to do before we step into that.
And
Well,
Madam Mayor, my fellow council members, respectfully, I'm the number 1 or number 2 or number 3 fan. I'm a huge supporter of this project. And coming back to Nathan's project, I confirm we did put in for 2.4 million, and our federal appropriation that was actually submitted by Newhouse's office was only for 2 million. So I would have the clarification around, even though we wanted more, that's not what was in the federal appropriation, but more important, phase 1 investments and pledges by the city. The city committed to $822,501 in additional improvements, and not all of those have been made. That's before we even got to phase 2. And so further to my comments earlier, I understand we have the $2 million federal appropriation, and also believe it's important as we're working through these considerations that phase 1 review be completed once and for all around the additional improvements committed by the city, because my understanding is not all that money's been invested. In our proposal that I have in front of me that was submitted, we indicated $1.8 million in estimated investment would be completed. That didn't need to all be completed before we start with this federal appropriation, is my understanding at the time. We had acquired the Riverfront Bridge and made some improvements, but I'm not aware of a plan to do the whole $822,000 in additional improvements. And I think we need to continue. We have a lot of money going out and need to continue to just take a hard look at these numbers to make sure that we have the right planning in place so we can be successful.
Okay, Mr. Rainey.
Okay, yeah, Sarah, can you send us some of that information? You were just,
Yeah, I'm happy to
Whatever.
resend it to you guys. And so I would propose to move, propose to move this motion to a date certain, which would be our August 15th meeting, so that we can, work on review of phase 1, additional improvements costs, and also funding sources in here, the city hall funding plan in conjunction, since we're talking about making loans.
Second.
Okay. So we have a date certain, which is next Tuesday. All in favor?
Wadsworth, I.
Reed, I.
Okay.
Alcazar, I.
Okay, is that everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, motion carries. Okay.
All right.
And with that, I have no more business here. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Yep.
Meeting is adjourned.